Hey kids, welcome back. Welcome to episode 9. Yeah, we're still going. We're not stopping just yet. Before we get into tonight's segment, I just wanted to touch base on a couple things. First of all, I actually have been getting some very constructive criticism these last few weeks, and I figure I'll address them now and just give you a little insight on them, and just it's honestly a little bit of self-acknowledgement also with these criticisms. Over the weekend, a buddy of mine had started, watching regularly my last few segments and trying to help out with getting my view hours up. So as he has them running around in the background, he pointed out some criticisms about the best way to put it is how my content actually flows. Instead of there being a nice consistent rhythm or a nice cadence to where everything's coming out clearly, he mentioned that there are a lot of delays or a lot of pauses. And I'm aware of it. I know that. It's part of it is a slight fear, to be honest with you. And it's one of those things I'm trying to get over with. Plus, talking into a camera is not easy. It's much easier talking to someone who's either sitting right next to you, standing next to you, or someone you're having a drink or just sitting around, BSing about, football or just anything. But when it comes to speaking to you, my audience, which I do appreciate and thank very much for, subscribing and actually viewing, it basically what it did is his criticism made me, realize that. And I went back and I started watching my own segments to basically, like I said, I just did it now, just trying to overthink things. And that's one of the things I'm working on trying to get over. It's as if the information I'm trying to deliver is being overthought and trying to search for the special words or the correct words to convey my message or, just to get my point across. And I have to stop worrying about those things. Many of my friends will tell me, if I don't know you, I'm pretty standoffish and I'll stay pretty quiet. But once I get to know you, which I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to convince myself that you is the camera, and it's not easy. So once I get a little bit more comfortable speaking to you in this manner, the delivery will, it'll be better. And a lot of you've spoken to me at my karaoke gigs and, in person outside of, my home and, and even outside of work or even at work. And you know that the way I delivered my information here on the channel is not how I speak. And that is what my biggest wall I feel is right now, is to be able to convey that information clearly to you. So today, hopefully, acknowledging that, it'll get better. And it's something that I am wholeheartedly going to work on. So hopefully, you're going to stick around. Bear with me. It's going to get better. I promise you it is. And so is the content. So we're going to get back today. We're going to kick off the new year. We did our predictions last week. This week, we're going to get back into the core of the channel. And
an answer from an Alexa Answers contributor that I translated. After Saturday, Sunday comes. Did that answer your question?
And my Alexa just goes off in the middle of my recording. You got to love it. Live recording. That's what happens. I'm just going to leave it. We'll let it run through. It can stay. But anyway, you guys. So yes, we are going to get into the episode very, very shortly. And another one of the things that I want to share with you guys before we get into it is there are a lot of things that I get nervous. I do. I get nervous about things that I'm, processing and setting up for you guys. So there are going to be times just until I can smooth things out or, maybe grow enough to have someone to do all the transitions and changes for me. Those are things that I'm going to have to do. So, for a moment or two, during a segment, I might look away at one of my monitors or, my streaming platform, to maybe check off a box or like right now, I'll bring in my placard. So, and it was one of the things, honestly, because I got caught up trying to be more natural with you guys. I forgot to, click my button so my logo comes up. So it's like I said, it's a work in progress. I'm gonna get there. So I really do appreciate the constructive criticisms, and it's something to work on, and hopefully, in time that I can actually, like I said, speak to you guys in a much more natural fashion. Even now, I hope this is actually coming across a little bit more naturally than my previous segments. So I'm going to leave it there. Once again, I do thank you guys. We are going to start the segment here shortly, and we are going to get to work, and let's have a little fun. All right. I love you guys. See you in a second. Okay, kids, here we go. Tonight's episode is going to be fun. I think it is. Tonight, we're actually going to take a test. Yep. So put your Politico pants on, and we are going to find out where we fall in the political spectrum. All right. Tonight's test is actually being provided by Political Spectrum Quiz. It's an HTML, but it's .com. I'm going to have the link in the bio for tonight's episode. And if you feel like it, take the test with us and see where you fall. You never know, because the politics you think that you agree with, or where you think you fall on the political party scale, you might not. So let's dive in and see where we're at, and let's have some fun with this. Okay. Let me scratch my nose. All right, we have our first question. Let's see what we got here. All right. Laws should restrict abortion in all or most cases. I disagree. Yes, I'm actually pro-choice with limits. In the cases of rape or incest, or if the child has a major deformity where the basically the child can't live have a fulfilled life or a happy life. Even if there is a diagnosis of even a severe mental disability in the fetus at a young age. I don't like saying it. I don't particularly agree with it because it is taking a life, but that is a situation that is best left up to the parents, not just the mother, the parents. So that's just my opinion on this first one. So I'm going to say it still matters. I might disagree with it, but it still matters a lot to me, because the last thing I want to see is I don't want to see someone using, abortion as a form of birth control rather than, accepting responsibility for their actions. That's how I see it. All right, so let's go on to question number 2. Unions were indispensable in establishing the middle class. Actually, I'll leave it where it is. I will agree with that. And the reason I say that, if it wasn't for unions like the UAW back in the 20s and 30s, we'll just use the auto industry as an example, that there wouldn't be a fair wage, for these workers. Yeah, unfortunately, there are a lot of individuals within the UAW that are probably fairly corrupt and take advantage of, their, I personally am not a union person. My family was my father was a union person, grew up in a union household. So I seen the values of what a union can do, because there are many occasions where if it wasn't for this union, my father would have, he wouldn't have a job. So they're not my particular cup of tea, but there is a use for them. And if it wasn't for these unions, the middle class would not be here in the situation, or in the not the state, but I guess you would say it would never have grown from the 16 to 18 work hour days to the 8-hour workday with a steady wage and ability to make a living. So, like I said, honestly, at the very beginning, High five to the unions, but not so much today. But they were responsible for the establishment of the middle class, in my opinion. Okay, question 3. Okay, in nearly every instance, the free market allocates resources most efficiently. That's another tough one. That really is tough because without the free market, we wouldn't have, honestly, what we have today. You wouldn't have the phone that you're looking at or the tablet. I wouldn't have the means to put up this podcast if they couldn't do it efficiently. So a lot of that, from my perspective, I'm going to have to agree and say that, yes, that they do allocate fairly efficiently, but it is not perfect. So in this case, we'll say, how much does the issue matter? Not to the highest extent of a lot, but yes, a lot, because there's a lot of work that we have to perform in upgrading our logistics capacities. I mean, if you look at it these last 3 years with COVID, and you have your the supply chain, that's all we heard about. That's all we heard about for the last 3 years is about supply chain. Well, what people don't realize, what happens with the supply chain, all right, those giant boats that you see coming into LA and San Diego, those boats that have been sitting out there to port for what they, some were saying a month, 2 months, those boats actually left 4 or 5 months ago. Because it's not just the port of LA they're coming to. They are making other stops, and they're offloading freight, offloading containers. And the biggest problem these last 3 years was the supply chain. What people don't realize is that supply chain bottleneck actually started prior to COVID. What happened during COVID with the supply chain was just the perfect storm. Everything was already backed up for 2 months. We already had a 2-month backup with freight in November of 2019. Now you compound that going forward to, the COVID shutdowns in March of 2020. That's already 2 months behind. Then you're adding 5 months. Most stores and most suppliers and warehouses here in the States keep a 6-month supply of product. So what that did, and then with everything being shut down, that just wiped everything out over the course of COVID. So logistically, we were really hurt, and it was all based on this. What we'll use is what we call is an on-time logistics system. It's basically as we're running out, new product is coming in. As we're running out, new products coming in. So that guarantees supposedly no empty shelves, no empty parts racks, and there is no delay in production. And it's supposed to be used to save money for the corporations that actually use this process. And unfortunately, COVID actually found the chink in the armor. So in this case, the free market system, it works. It really works, but it has its downfalls. So hopefully, over the course of this year, it's projected that we should be close to normal by the end of 2023 with our logistics systems. So we'll see where it goes. Let's move on to question number 4. Okay, public radio and television funded by the state provided a valuable service to its citizens. I'm going to stay neutral on this, and I am going to say it matters a lot because it's not just public radio and public television. It's corporate radio and corporate television as well. These tools can be used for good and bad. For instance, the best way to put this is as a karaoke host or a DJ. All right, we're constantly on the hunt for new and cool music, stuff that's gonna get the people out, get their butts wiggling on the dance floor, between our singers, or if we're just straight up, playing ones and twos or up to, our 4 channels. Now think about this. Say a sound comes out today. Today is January 9th. Actually, it would be released tomorrow. It's a Tuesday. Tomorrow is Tuesday the 10th. New music is released. And when this song comes out, okay, they'll play it like once on one of the pop stations or one of the hip hop stations. You hear it, or whatever your favorite satellite radio station is. You hear the song and you're like, I almost stepped on the cat. That was very weird. His tail felt really strange. But anyway, okay, back to the music. You take that song and you hear it. Say as a DJ or a karaoke host, I hear a song and I'm like, man, that freaking bangs. That's going to be a song. I guarantee it. People are going to love it. And, as soon as it hits pop radio, people are going to love it. So sure enough, you take that song, you start playing it. You're playing it months ahead of the radio. Okay, everyone's looking at you like, what the hell is this song? This is garbage. Just, change it. Change the music. We don't want to hear this. We want to play something good. Then, of course, you get the one person that always comes up to you and says, when are you going to start playing something good? All right, you play a new song. You're trying to be something different, okay? So a couple months later, that song hits the radio. It gets caught in the rotation. People start getting used to that song. All of a sudden, that song that was hated 3 months ago is everyone's favorite song. Why? It's because the media, what they do is they pump it out at you so much. They keep repeating the same things over and over again. And what happens, people might not listen to it, like wholeheartedly. Like they're not listening to the lyrics, or they might just be listening to the beat. And it's the same thing that goes for public radio and, public TV. Same thing with corporate radio and corporate news. The longer they just keep repeating the same cycle over and over again, it clicks and people just recognize it. And because it's coming from these types of platforms, they take it as truth. So it's a very, very valuable tool, yes, but it can be used to spread, well, in the best way to put it, fake news. And that's the last thing we need. And the one thing we do need as, citizens of this great nation is we need the truth. And unfortunately, we have to rely on our media outlets to give us that truth. So, like I said, that's why I'm going to stay neutral on it, because it can be used for both good and bad, but it still does mean a lot. So we're going to leave it at there. So the next question. Actually, this one I think a lot of us are going to wholeheartedly agree on. Some people should not be allowed to reproduce. I strongly agree with this. And I'm going to stay neutral on it because it's not for any political reasons. It's for the simple fact that, honestly, people are just dumb. And you don't want these people having kids, because all that's going to do is they're just going to have more dumb people. They're going to have dumb kids. And believe me, I know a few. So we're going to go straight on to the next question. Access to healthcare is a right. Yes, I'm going to agree. Within certain situations, honestly, yes. Like for the elderly, okay? Like once you retire or once you reach a certain age, you get Medicare or Medicaid, okay? And I look at that social program as a yes, you should get that, because your entire working life, you're paying into the Social Security system, which is a social project, not a socialist policy. Everyone needs to get that straight. Everyone always tries to bring up that Social Security is a socialist policy. No, it is not. It's a social product that provides a benefit to a retiree or a disabled, citizen to be able to live a, enriched and productive life, even if they can't work. Okay, that is what Social Security is for. That is not a socialism project. Everyone get that through your heads. It's not socialism. Okay, but anyway, back to the question. Access to healthcare is a right. Yes, in some cases. I believe in the case of the elderly and those that are disabled, who have never been able to work, or yes, to that degree is where I stand on that, and I will say that it matters. I would say it matters significantly to me, because to me, if you're an able body and you work, all right, who you work for, or maybe should have an outlet to where you can purchase a health plan, some sort of insurance, health insurance, life insurance, that should be guaranteed to an employee, but you do have to pay for it. Another thing with that is there are a lot of companies out there that a lot of the health insurance that you offer is just garbage. But unfortunately, the reason why it's garbage, it's not that they can't provide a better carrier. It's just that the employee cost to provide that insurance is so great that's all the corporation or the company can't actually afford. So some health care to the able body is better than none. And if through time, like you're starting off with it's honestly, okay, we'll just say a job at McDonald's, which is technically considered what you would call a starter job, or something that you would do to like supplement income, or it's like your first job, while you're in high school. And don't get me wrong, you can make a lot of money in the fast food business, especially if you stick at it. I had several siblings that actually worked for a fast food chain, and they did quite well for themselves during the 80s. Eventually, they grew out of the fast food industry and they moved on to something else. But just because it's a starter job shouldn't mean that you shouldn't have access to quality health care. It might be expensive, but unfortunately, that's just a price that we all kind of have to pay. There's just the insurance companies are, they gouge everybody anyway, regardless of the quality of insurance that you actually have. It can get pretty expensive. So, yeah, on this one, I am going to say everyone should have access to health care within a certain degree. And I state honestly with this, for the disabled who do not have the ability to create a better quality of life, and those that are, of course, retired, who are no longer working and no longer can carry an employee's health insurance. They should be provided that Medicare and Medicaid, and everything should be covered. They've done enough. They've contributed enough to society, and of course to, Social Security and their taxes. So we're going to move on to the next question. All right, this one I'm sure will get most of you. The rich should pay a higher tax rate than the middle class. Yes, I'm going to say so, but I'm going to stay neutral on it. For the most part, I know that they say that 95% of the United States tax income comes from the middle and lower class. If that's the case, well, because there's more of us. Just because someone is a millionaire or a billionaire doesn't mean that they shouldn't pay their fair share. They should. Okay? There are a lot of brackets out there where a lot of these billionaires and millionaires, their tax bracket is literally, 50%. And the reason why that they get away with, paying so little taxes is because they have the money to pay an accountant to find them all those loopholes. And plus, if they have that kind of money, they're a business. So with all of their losses, overhead, and all their costs, all of that's being deducted. So yeah, so it's, it makes it look like they're not paying anything, but in a way they are, because when they're paying their employees, they're paying for insurance, in a way, those are taxes. And don't forget, hopefully you're getting a cost of living raise every year too. So if you are, think about that. Those are corporate taxes. So they're giving that money, back to, back to the machine, to keep it moving. So if there are losses and they have the loopholes and the means to do so, They should be permitted. So it's not that the corporations won't pay it. It's just that they're following the law in order to, get their tax breaks. So the issue is not so much the corporations. The issue is the tax laws. So maybe that's where we need to actually start reviewing some things. Okay, the next question. School science classes should teach intelligent design. I am going to say I strongly disagree with that. I myself am a Christian, or you could say that I am I'm a believer in God, but I do not have a religion. Because the best way to put it, the way I see it, there is our creator, an intelligent designer. He manifested himself to experience what mankind was like. Gave us a son. Gave us Jesus. All right, Jesus lived, was crucified and died on the cross. Resurrected 3 days later. Son of God. Okay. I believe it. Okay, but now, that's religion. It's not science. So, religion has no place in the teaching of science. So I also will say that it means a lot that it should not be taught in science. Because honestly, science is science, religion is religion. Two different subjects. They both can coexist, but they're two different things. Okay. All right. Marriage must be, on to the next question, question 9. Marriage must be heralded for the important role it plays in society. Yes, I strongly agree. I strongly agree. There is nothing more important than the family unit because that's where everything starts. You want to change society. You want to make people, you want to make a better person. It starts at home. It starts in your house. The way you raise your children. You teach them respect, how to respect others, respect their parents. And what happens? They'll respect themselves. So it all comes down to the family unit. The individuals in that family unit. And hopefully it's a moral family. When I mean moral, it's not necessarily being based on faith or deviancy. Well, yeah, deviancy, but just knowing right from wrong and just trying to make starting with your home, the world around you a better place. Starting there and move outward from your home. So, yes, marriage, a strong family in a home is it's probably one of the most important things in society that we can have in the United States. By far. It is, yes. Okay. Sometimes war is necessary, even if it means you strike first. Yes, strongly agree. There are many cases where threats are just inevitable. You know they are coming. And you know that there are going to be people out there that do wish you harm. And in many cases, now what I mean by, just to clarify this question is talking about large scale. They're not talking about, say, like you have a beef with somebody and they talk a bunch of crap about a friend of yours or a girlfriend, boyfriend, and as soon as you see them, they're not going to do anything. They're doing something, but then all of a sudden you see them, they're not expecting it, and you sucker punch them and you take them down. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what this question is. This question is asking, like, as a nation, okay, say, for instance, we'll use 9/11, for example. Say for months, the CIA or one of our intelligence agencies had information that this was going to happen. Not that they knew it was going to happen, did they? So we'll just say that they had this information. And then over the course of the months, the more they keep an eye on it and watch and see things develop, they can see that these particular, like, we'll just say terror cells in another, just wherever, were planning this. And everything was 100% solid that, yes, they had the flight manuals. They had, what they had. These particular planes, they had the reservations for these tickets. They've put out, warnings across their platforms. They know what's going to happen. You strike. Take them out. Because the last thing that we want to do is going after, we'll just say, 12 terrorists who have the potential of causing the damage that they caused in 9/11. If we know about it and we can stop it, we stop it. Okay, on to the next question, number 11. Patriotism is an overrated quality. I'm going to disagree, but not strongly disagree. Because I think if you disagree strongly in this case, you're getting too close to nationalism. And we all know that nationalism is, they say it's not good. In the history, the perspective we have in history about nationalism is not good. You look at Germany in the 40s. You look at Italy in the 30s. Okay, prior to World War II, same thing with Germany building up into it. Those were nationalists. Okay, and today that term is just thrown around like crazy by our media, trying to say, oh, this party, the Republican Party is nothing but nationalists, Nazis, and all these bad things that, coincide or had happened in history. They're not like that. I'm sure just like on the left, we on the right say that the lefts are communists or socialists. I'm sure they're not all socialists and communists. They're not. It's just the extremes. That's what both sides are doing. They're talking about the extremes. But the problem is it's not one of those words that are just overplayed by the media. When you start hearing it, what does the average viewer think? Everyone's a Nazi. It just happens. But patriotism is important because especially here in the United States, we are a volunteer nation. We had the draft, but for the most part, since we've been a volunteer nation, we have when it comes to having to do things globally, like FEMA, our military, volunteers, United Way, just any of your charities. Look at, it's a necessity. It's a necessity to be a volunteer nation rather than a demanded, like you're demanded to serve. Or like in the movie, what was the movie? Oh, crap. Oh, shoot. But anyway, oh, man. I forgot the movie, but anyway, there was a term in the movie where it says service guarantees citizenship. That's not the type of nation that we're supposed to be. We're not. Oh, man, I can't believe that freaking movie just blanked out of my head. It's one of my favorite movies, too, from like the early 90s. But anyway, okay, 97. God, Roman, what movie was that? Oh, man. Starship Troopers. It took me a minute, but yes, Starship Troopers. That's right. Do you want to know more? One of those movies you just quote. You can't help it. But anyway, we're going to go on to the next question. Okay, radio stations should be required to present balanced news coverage. Yes, I agree strongly. All of us deserve to know both sides of the aisle, or even way on each side of the aisle. All of us do. Present us with the information. Let us determine what we believe and what we think is going to be the facts. Leave it up to the individual to do the extra homework and the extra legwork to find out what's what. Otherwise, if you only play one side, like I was telling you guys with the music analogy, you get something too much prior to it hitting the radio, you play it, people hate it. But as soon as it hits the radio and it gets repeated over and over and over again, people like it. Same thing with news. You only tell one side, you're only going to get the one side, and people are going to think that's the only story. Both sides need to be told. Okay. Government should be, okay, here we go. Next question. Government should do something about the increasing violence in video games. I am going to disagree and stay neutral. The reason I am going to go disagree is because, honestly, it's up to the parents. Who's playing the video game? That's number one question. Are they minors? Is the minor playing a video game or is it an adult? If it's an adult playing a video game, government has no say in it. It's the adult's choice. It's entertainment for them. That is their decision. And it's up to the person who's playing it, if they're an adult, to be able to, if they can handle what they're, dealing with and be able to handle the psychological aspects of what they're doing, then it's on them. But if that is a child, if it's a minor, it falls on the parents. A parent shouldn't be providing, video games like that to their kids. If they are, hopefully the child is stable enough to understand that it is a video game. It's not real, but it's based on, honestly, on bad human actions. So in this case, it comes down to if it's a minor or if it's an adult. If it's a minor, no. Even still, the government shouldn't have no say in it. It's up to the parents. It's up to the guardians of the minor. Otherwise, if it's an adult, have at it. It's you. No one can say anything about it. Okay. Now, here's the next one. If our leader meets with our enemies, it makes them appear weak. Makes us appear weak. No, I strongly disagree. And that means a lot. And the reason I disagree with that is because how do you negotiate peace? How do you negotiate a truce? If you're my enemy, then what, we're just always going to be enemy and whenever we see each other, we're going to have beef? Why? Why have the beef? It's because I want to put missiles in this country, you want to put a defense system in this country or anti-aircraft in this country? Well, we've been enemies. So what, are you going to take over the country that we're trying to put, the anti-aircraft in? Or are you going to shoot them with those missiles that you're putting on the border? How do you come to a negotiation? How do you find that balance of what, okay, instead of putting an anti-aircraft system in here, we'll put, we'll train them and, do something else or something. It's just, there has to be a balance. Even on a global scale, there has to be a balance. Without it, nothing will get done. I mean, just nothing. We look at, the best way to look at things today is in the political world, they don't like to really use the word enemy. They prefer the word economic adversary is really what they want to use. Is because when you look at today's world, we're witnessing with the Russians in the Ukraine. You can't go to a traditional war. It's almost impossible to do what the Russians are trying to do with the Ukraine. And without trying to find a economic balance. I know we tried, some sanctions against Russia, which overall actually completely backfired on us. But there was something there that was, instead of going to war with who we consider an economic adversary, we're helping the other country defend itself by providing it, funds and armaments, all this. So it's not always necessary to go to war with an enemy, but there has to be a balance. Something has to be found that's going to create, or, I don't know. It's just, it's a very loaded question. It really is. But of course, we're talking about world elites, world leaders that are living in a completely different world than us. As I like to describe it, as we are all just chickens in their hen house. So to us, we're just looking up, waiting for the big, next round of slop or grain so we can have something to eat while they go off and do whatever the hell that they're going to do. So with them, they look at borders as they don't want to color outside the lines. Or if we go outside the lines just a little bit, it ain't going to hurt nothing. But yeah, they live in a completely different world. We're never as the common folk ever going to see it. But yeah, on this one, yeah, you have to say just because you meet with an adversary does not make you appear weak. What you're doing is you're compromising. Here's one for you. You're actually being an adult. You're being grown about things. You're trying to find a solution to a problem. So that's how I see it. So let's go on to the next question. Okay. This is actually good. This is a good question. We must use our military from time to time to protect our supply of oil to avoid a national crisis. Yes, we actually do this every single day. That is why I will agree, and I will say not quite a lot, but I will agree because there is what was I can't remember that. Just stuck for memory today. I guess I'm getting old on that. But there was a meeting. Okay, now I remember it. Okay, there was a meeting back in the 40s prior to the United Nations getting formed. This is when they're just putting all the articles together. There was a meeting here in the States, and it was called I think it was called the Breton Accords. And what that was a meeting with all of what is currently the United Nations, minus the Russians and the Germans at the time. The United States made a deal with all these nations. And you wonder why, why does America have to be the world police? Well, this is actually the reason why. It's because of the Bretton Woods Accords. What had happened is we, as the United States, after World War II, we had the largest standing army. We had the only military that could actually function and get anywhere in the world, like just instantly, and back then in a matter of days. Okay, back there and all these other countries, they were so downtrodden and so defeated. And so, they didn't have the supplies, they didn't have the logistics to, get supplies anywhere. The only people that could do it was the United States. So the deal that was struck was we, the United States, actually agreed what we want to do is we will act as the world military. We will use our Navy to secure shipping lanes, protect international waters, protect our allies, shores. And that basically got approved. So when people talk about being, the world police, yes, we are. And that's where it was actually decided. It was actually signed, put into the courts, and it was part of the United Nations. That's why we even pay for a lot of these, poorer countries' defense capabilities. Why we sell to all these other countries, all these arms. Because that's what we agreed to after World War II, prior to the United Nations. So in this case, where a lot of our oil, comes from overseas, we'll say a good portion of it, it's the refined oil and the gasoline that comes from overseas. We do produce our own oil here in the States, but this oil has to go through waters that are dangerous waters. There's, believe it or not, yes, there are pirates of the Caribbean. There are pirates that actually roam the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf, and terrorist sponsored governments that actually want to see harm because destroying these oil lines hurt us. So of course, if you want to hurt us, you can't hurt us militarily, or you can't invade. So the only way to hurt the United States is to hurt us economically. In this case, using our military to protect, our oil reserves and our oil supply, it's a necessity. Otherwise, we'd have, just think about the ecological, devastation we'd have everywhere if we didn't do it. Because how many of these, tankers would be capsized? So it can be nasty. So yes, we actually need our military to do this. My opinion. So anyway, I hope you guys are actually having fun with this and taking the test with me. So take it. Take the test. So we're going to move on to number 16. Okay, strong gun ownership rights protect the people against tyranny or tyranny. Yes. Second Amendment all the freaking way. 100%. 100%. 100%. Because think about all these other nations that used to have the gun rights that we have. Okay? Okay, we'll just say all of the things that we were always told that, you know what, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to get too right and left on this one. So just think about this. Most of the time when a government wants to take over and really oppress you, first thing they start with, take away your ability to speak, take away your ability to fight back. That's what they're going to do. So in this case, yeah. But you know what? If I have my Second Amendment rights, I still got a voice. So you can deal with it or not. You like it, you don't. Too bad. Pro 2A all the way. Okay. Number 18. It is not a government responsibility to regulate pollution. BS. It is not just the government's responsibility. My responsibility. I think it's your responsibility. It's up to everybody to actually regulate our actual carbon footprint. It really is. It's up to each of us. Me, personally, honestly, I would love to have an electric vehicle. I just can't afford one. Can't do it. Nope. But I try to keep my, carbon footprint as small as possible. Kind of sounds bad when I have all these lights running and using all this electricity, using up all this carbon, but it's a one-a-week thing. It's not an everyday thing. So, but yes, I think it's individual. It's the individual. So I'm going to stay neutral on this, but it means a lot because it's not just the government. It is all of us. It's our responsibility. Okay, this is another one that might actually rub people the wrong way. That might sound a little perverted for this too, but it's kind of perverted. But anyway, it's perverted, but I don't go this way. It's not me. But anyway, gay marriage should be forbidden. Strongly disagree. I am all for gay marriage. 100%. And you know why? It's guaranteed in the Bill of Rights. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Who are we to say what makes everybody else happy? If two people love each other that much, they should be permitted to be married. Maybe, because it's a separation of church and state, the church doesn't see it as a valid marriage. So what? So what? Just because the church says so doesn't mean that you can't get married? No, it's not true. Because all marriage is really, it's a contract between two people. It's more of a legality than it is an actual religious-based thing. I mean, yeah, there are religious ramifications in it. Man and a wife. But that's in religion. Just because, the church or whichever faith you follow says you can't do it, doesn't mean you can't do it. That's just religion. You want to marry somebody, marry somebody. Same thing. You love somebody, tell them you love somebody. Just don't be creepy about it, and just don't get caught looking in their window. That's all I can tell you. But anyway, let's go on to the next one. Okay, it should be against the law to use hateful language towards another racial group. I'm actually going to disagree. And yes, that just made all you mad. Sure did. And I am going to stay somewhat a lot. And the reason I say this is because I'm an American. I have the freedom to say what I need to say. And unfortunately, if it involves a particular race or group, I'm going to speak about it. I'm not going to use a racial slur just because you say something. And plus, who's to say what hateful is? What's hateful language? Define it for me. So, me personally, I'm Mexican and German. I am Mexican and German. So, am I an oppressed race? And am I an oppressed culture? I don't know. I just see myself as an American who has the freedom of speech. I'll crack jokes. Some people say jokes are hateful. How are they hateful? You might think they're hateful, but what about me? I don't. Now, don't get me wrong. Racism is straight up, it's bad. If you're a racist, you're a piece of garbage. But you have to define what hateful is. What is hateful language? This question doesn't do that. So what we're going to do is, that is why I'm going to disagree, but it does mean a lot to me. Not 100%, because it doesn't define what they mean by hateful language. So we're going to leave it at that. So it's a tough road. So that's actually one of the difficult things about doing these political polarization tests, is they give you the question, but they're not defining certain terms. So you might answer it one way based on how it reads, but then the context that's missing from the question, it's not defined well enough in order to give a specific enough answer. Because this right there might, just because of that one question, out of is center left that my answers have been so far, that one question could put me over as a fascist. It could. But we don't know yet. We're going to find out. I'm actually answering these how I feel about these questions and these subjects. Hopefully you are too. So we're going to find out where we all fall. So let's see where we're at. The next question. Government should ensure that all citizens meet a certain minimum standard of living. Disagree. The reason I disagree is because it's not the government's job to make sure that you get off your butt and provide a life for yourself or your family. It's not their responsibility. That is one of the biggest founding cores of being an American. Self-reliance. Think about this 150 years ago, 120 years ago. All right. No, we'll go 150 years ago, right around the time of, the Civil War, Old West. Now think about this. You had people that were coming from the East. No money. All they had is a wagon, a couple horses, and a cart full of food. They had no idea what kind of weather they were going to have. They had no idea if they were going to get, ambushed by Native Americans. They had no idea how to pass through the mountains going west, but they did it. And they lived. They survived. They built homes. Think about this. Going to the west, building a log cabin, a one-room log cabin, maybe 10 by 10. And you have 5 people living in it. And they did it. They did it. And they survived. They actually, if it wasn't for them and their pioneering spirit, their self-reliance, look around you. We wouldn't have this today. It is self-reliance, the ability to get off your butt, do it yourself. If you can't do it yourself, ask for help. Have someone show you how to do it. It comes down to you. So that's where I stand on that. The government should not, provide that certain standard of living. No. Now, I know you're talking about, well, what about unemployment? Well, no, I see you pay into the unemployment system as you work. You're paying taxes. So if something does happen, you lose your job. And you can't find a job. Yes, you got to have an income, but you've paid into that system. You've paid into it. It's another social program, not socialism. Okay, remember that. It's a social program. So the unemployment that you receive, it's not a lot. It's literally not even, in today's age, not even close to used for survivability. You can't. But it's something. And the reason why it's so little, it's not to say that you're not worth it or because of the money you didn't pay into it. The reason why it's so minimal is to motivate you. It's to motivate you to get up. Get up and work to find a better way to make a living. That is what it's for. So yes, I disagree. It is not up to the government to provide a certain standard of living to the individual or family. All right, you guys, we're on to the next question, question 22. It is wrong to enforce moral behavior through the law because this infringes upon the individual's freedom. Ooh, that's a tough one. Let's see. Let's do this again. It is wrong to enforce moral behavior through the law because this infringes upon the individual's freedom. Okay, well, this is tough because when you think about that, if the individual is a moral individual or a moral person, then they're more than likely obeying the law. So I would say, see, this could go in very many directions. This is another one of those questions where it really is missing context. Like, are they referring to, we'll just say, alcohol or smoking, drugs, or even, gambling, something. So these are questionably moral things. It's because it's so. I'm really big on individual freedoms, and just because there is a law doesn't mean the law is just. So we have many laws that we break every day, but we're still moral people. Like, for instance, like when you're driving in the car, freeway speed limit 70 miles per hour. Some people drive 75, 80 and just do it daily. Don't think anything of it. Not saying that it's a moral law, but it's not to say that, these people aren't permitted to do it. It's just the fact that if there's a law and, people are breaking it, regardless if it's to enforce moral behavior, if it's a law, then it's a law. So if it's illegal to drive, 75 miles per hour, 80 miles per hour on the freeway when the speed limit's 70, you get caught, you're going to pay the price. You're going to get a ticket. That's pretty much how it works. So they enforce moral behavior through the law because it infringes upon the individual's freedom. I'm just going to say I agree because you shouldn't enforce moral behavior through laws, but I'm sure there are laws out there that actually have a moral base to them as to why, they're laws. But I'm just going to agree, and I'm just going to stay in the middle on why I should, how I feel about it. It's pretty touchy. All right, we're going to go to the next question, question 23. Just checking our recording real fast. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's see. What do we have here? Okay, immigration restrictions are economically protectionist. Non-citizens should be allowed to sell their labor domestically at a rate the market will pay. I'm going to agree. The reason I say that is, I hate to say it as much as I love my country, but if I have someone who is here illegally that is better qualified to do the work that I need done, I want the better qualified individual. I want the more qualified person. It's unfortunate that maybe there are some people out there that aren't willing to do some of the jobs that we have. Honestly, and there are plenty of jobs out there that just people won't do. that a lot of the immigrants that come in and illegal immigrants that come in will do. So if they're willing to do the work, then yeah, go ahead, do it. Feel free. Welcome to America. Okay, on to the next question. An official language should be set, and immigrants should have to learn it. Agree. The United States, our unofficial language is English, and you should learn it. You're coming here to live. You're coming here to, enjoy your freedoms here in the United States. You should learn English, along with American history, which is part of the requirements. But yes, learn the language that you're immigrating to the country that you're immigrating to. You should. If you don't do it, then you probably really don't belong there, to be honest with you, because you're probably not there for their values. They're there for your own. So yes, I'm going to agree. I'm actually going to agree strongly now that I think about it, and I'm going to say a lot. So yes, learn the language of the country you're going to go live. Do it. Probably make it a lot easier on you too. And let's see what we got here. All right, on to the next question. Whatever maximizes economic growth is good for the people. I am going to disagree. I'm going to stay neutral. Not all capitalist ideas are good. There are many that are harmful, and we actually see it every day. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm pro-capitalist, but what I'm talking about here is like your neo-capitalist. All they're doing is they're using. When I mean neo-capitalist, I'm talking about politicians using their position of power to actually use the capitalistic system to make money to benefit themselves, which is pure capitalism. But those actions hurt us because these individuals are more in it for themselves than they are for the good of the people, which, sounds socialist. Uh-oh, what's going to happen now? Not a socialist. I don't think so. But anyway, on to the next one. Yeah, so yes, it's harmful. Some things can be harmful. Okay. Ooh, another spicy one. Racial issues will never be resolved. It's a human nature to prefer one's own race. And you're going to hate me for it, and you might call me racist. I agree. And it's not from a racist point of view. It's not to say that I hate, black people or, Asian people or, Spanish people, anyone. Not saying I hate them. I don't. But this is one thing a lot of Americans don't realize. The world is inherently racist. They are. Societies prefer their own kind. It's natural. Not in I don't mean it in a mean-spirited way. If you look at a lot of cultures around the world, okay, you look at the patterns, the demographics of cities, and you see that there are. We'll use Detroit. We'll use Detroit as an example. Okay, the city of Detroit has a very large Middle Eastern population. Okay, also a large Mexican population and Polish population. All right, and a black population. Now, you go to one portion of the city. How about that? It's heavy Middle Eastern. Go to another portion of the city, Hispanic. Major portions of the city are black. But it's all like you have these divides. Why are there divides? Because they are people of like thought. Is the way I'm going to put it. They're like thought. All right. You tend to gravitate towards people like yourself. All right. Even in the political spectrum, Democrats tend to hang around Democrats. Republicans tend to hang around other Republicans. It's just what it is. Then, yeah, you have your little outliers where people, commingle, and you have your friend. People make fun of the whole, they make the joke about, just whatever, we'll just say whatever race you are. We'll just say whatever, you're Caucasian, Black, Mexican, Hispanic, whatever. And that, and you can say, oh yeah, he's my Mexican friend, or he's my Black friend. People do it. It's not because they're racist. It's just people. It's not meant in harm, but people just tend to they tend to gather up with like people. It's not meant in a sinister way. But it's just the way humanity is. And the reason why you have these racial issues, it's not because it's not because of yes, there are stereotypes of every culture. But the reason why there's stereotypes is because there's truths in the stereotypes. White people can't dance. Like that. Simple. Okay? Not saying that all white people can't dance. I've watched Dancing with the Stars, or, when I was younger, Star Search. But anyway, but yeah, it's, I think the reason why it will never happen, and the reason why there's racial tensions, is because you have outliers in each of these cultures, and it's more about feeling better about themselves is what it is. The reason, that's why they do it. I'm not saying that people are better than each other, but it's the particular group within that culture or race that, because of this particular race does things one way, is stupid, and that makes us better because they do it this way, we do it our way, and it's just their way of feeling better about themselves, when in fact they're just no better than they are. The group that they're trying to, disparage. So it's never going to go away. It never will go away. And I know it sucks, but that's just humanity. That's life. So we're going to move on to the next question. Question 27. People with a criminal history should not be able to vote. Strongly disagree. And I will put that somewhat as meaning a lot. The reason I say that, if you're a criminal, you go to prison, and you pay your price. As soon as you serve your sentence, your voting ability should be returned right back to you. You've served your sentence. You've gone through the system. You've paid the price, served your time, paid your fines. As soon as you're done with that, yes, you should be allowed to vote. But not until you actually serve your sentence, of course, and pay your fines. Whatever the process, whatever the outcome of that case is, that criminal case is, that is what it should be based on. So just that makes you a criminal. That's another thing. Just that means if you're a criminal. So if you got a ticket for speeding. Then you can't vote. Think about that. See, that's wrong. Pay your fine. Go through your sentence, go through your court, whatever process is. Once it's done and it's all finished, yes, you get the vote. Next question. Marijuana should be legal. Strongly agree. I particularly don't care if it is or not. I'm not a partaker. But it's not up to me. Treat it like you treat alcohol. Okay? Or cigarettes. So if you're an adult, you have the means to do it, fine. Tax it. Make your money. Let people do it. It's their choice. That's where I stand on that. Nice and simple. Okay. The state should fine television stations for broadcasting offensive language. I'm going to agree. It doesn't necessarily mean a lot to me, but when you're looking at mainstream over-the-air broadcasts or your general, like, major networks that are not part of cable providers or streaming platforms, these should be regulated. These should be as family-friendly as possible, my opinion. And once, maybe after a certain time frame, maybe after a certain, like, 10 o'clock hour, like 10 p.m., you might be able to slip in a couple curse words here and there, but keep them simple, nothing overly vulgar. But I would say yes. I would say yes. It's not important to me because I'm not a really big TV watcher. The only thing TV is good for is NFL football and NFL football. That's really about it. Okay, on to the next one. Looks like we might be at the end of this thing finally. Let's see what our last question is. Okay, it does not make sense to understand the motivations of terrorists because they are self-evidently evil. I am going to disagree and a little more than neutral on this one because there is, I don't know who said it. I don't know the exact quote, but it was something like, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Because if you look back in our history, you would look at the rebels who fought against the crown. The crown looked at them as terrorists. Very simple. We used guerrilla tactics in our fighting. We didn't fight. We didn't line up abreast with our legions and our squads to go face to face with the British Army. Not at all. We hid in the trees. Guerrilla warfare. Yes, we invented that, believe it or not. So I disagree because what we look at as a evil cause is not an evil cause to somebody else. Because in the best, honestly, we always look at ourselves as the good guy. Americans, we're the good guys. Yeah, go USA, USA. But everywhere else around the world, we're not. We're not the good guys. We invade their country. We steal their resources. Okay, we bomb their children. We bomb their hospitals. Sound like a good guy to you? Especially if you're a third world country, you ain't got no money, no way to defend yourself from the United States. Is that really good? It makes you question. So I am going to disagree, but within reason, because, like I said, every man's terrorist is not, it just depends on your point of view. Depends on your point of view when you look at it. So one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Just got to be real about it. Be honest. See what the next one is. Oh, man, this is a lot. I didn't realize there was this many questions. All right, so we might actually have to break this one up into segments, portions of this, because this is the way this is running. This is pushing close to an hour now. So we're going to go through a few more of these questions. How many more do we have here? Okay, this is our last page. We're going to try and muscle through this last page, and we're going to get our results, and maybe we'll break this up into 2 segments, do 2 episodes out of this one, because this is fairly lengthy. Okay, and here we go. 31. The lower the taxes, the better off we are. Yes. Yes and no. I'm going to agree, but I'm going to stay neutral because we pay an enormous amount of taxes every single day on everything. When you go to work, we're getting taxed at work for multiple things. We go to the gas station, we're getting gas tax. Go to the store, we're getting sales tax. User fees, like even on your utilities. all these different taxes. So every single day we're being taxed on something. And if you really think about it, depending on your tax bracket, I'm assuming anyone that's close to me, you're anywhere between 30 and 40% for your tax bracket. Okay, now think about that. 30 to 40% of your income. You're going to the store, more taxes. Gas station, more taxes. Your utilities, more taxes. Your cable, internet, more taxes. How much more has it gone up? Think about all that extra money that we could be paying. It'd be all going into the same place. It really would. And of course, your local municipalities for your police, fire department, your roads. And think about that, your roads here in the state of Michigan. Good luck. It's construction season all year round. It sucks. But anyway, I'm gonna agree, because it's just nice having that extra money in your pocket since we're already being taxed as it is. So I'm going to say yes, lower taxes is better for us. Okay, this is another one that's kind of spicy. Minority groups that have faced discrimination should receive help from the state to get on an equal footing. Disagree. And the reason I disagree is because I'm a constitutionalist. All right. Once the 14th Amendment was passed, all right, that defined personhood. All right. And since then, okay, even before then, okay, even in our Bill of Rights, we have in there that all men are created equal. What's sad is when that was written, it wasn't meant in a literal case. They don't mean men, as in just men, biological males. They meant mankind, as in humankind. And when that was written, everyone here should have had their inalienable rights, but they didn't. It took to the 14th Amendment in order to achieve those rights. And there were a lot of people suffered prior to lynchings, beatings. Not cool. Not cool at all. But with the passing of the 14th Amendment, it took 100 years. It took 100 years for that to be done after the Civil War. Now, it really is a hard subject, but it's not... It's too hard to put in words, to be honest with you. It really is too hard to put in words. But I feel that since then, since the 14th Amendment, on paper, it has provided a level playing field. Unfortunately, out there were people that did everything they possibly could to make sure, even though on paper it was a level playing field, that some people did not get the opportunities to come up or make a better life for themselves. And it's unfortunate. And I will never forgive people like that. To hold someone down just because of their skin color or culture it's simply just BS. That just tells me that you're just afraid. What is there to be afraid of? Someone's just trying to make a living for themselves. They want for their families. That's all they wanted. That's all anyone wants. But when it comes to this, I really do feel that it's another one of those situations where it comes down to the capacity of the individual. And it's up to you and me as people to lift ourselves up and find that place, find that home, work for it, and earn it. Because when we earn it, there's honestly, it provides self-worth. And when you have a group of people that have been told they were worthless for generations, in fact, hundreds of years, in some cases thousands, they tend to believe it. And over time, it just it changes, how you feel about hard work. Because, I'm sure everyone's heard the stories about kids, when they're, being in abusive homes, to put it for some people to actually kind of recognize or relate, is being in an abusive home as a child. Knowing you're not as a kid, just saying you're not the smartest kid, but you're always willing to reach out for help, and always being told when you're asking for help that you're stupid. Over the long term, when a kid hears that over and over and over again, that you're not good enough, you're dumb, you're this, you're that, they believe it. And it takes a lot of hard work to break that, mindset, that culture. So even though, wrong was done, doesn't mean, you should get a government handout. As a human, you got to fight through it. As a person, you have to fight through it, overcome the obstacles, and earn it. We have to earn it, because otherwise we don't gain any personal value from it, or accomplishment, and what is there to pass down to our children? So it's up to us. We have to do it. You can't rely on our government to give it to you. So I'm going to disagree, and we're going to move on to the next question. Is it wrong to question a leader in wartime? No, not at all. So I'm going to, in this, it is wrong to question a leader. I strongly disagree, and a lot. Because think about this. You got a terrible leader, it's costing you. It's costing you lives, not just overseas or wherever this war is, but it's also costing you at home. With, in our case, for the last 23 years, inflation, various, food costs, everything. We all see it every day when we go to the grocery store and go to the gas station. We see it. These are based on our leaders. Because honestly, we've been at war for 23 years. We've been at war for 23 years. And this is based on our leaders' decisions. And they were bad decisions. In wars we shouldn't even be in. So yes, question leadership. Okay, and here we go. Another one that's kind of spicy a little bit. Tighter regulations would have prevented the collapse of the lending industry. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to strongly agree here. And it means a lot, but not like it's ultimate. But yes, I think a lot of the regulation was just let go. 100%. When they were permitted to do the adjustable rates and the ARMs and all this other stuff, and the predatory home loans on people who had no business being able to buy a home. I know they wanted to give everyone the opportunity. They say it was for the opportunity to offer everyone the American dream. Own your own home, have your own house, get out of the apartments, whatever. But this wasn't regulated enough. They let these lending companies run wild. And I'll be honest with you, they should have let them collapse. They should have let them collapse. That's the point of the capitalistic system. They should have let them collapse, and whoever else was there, let them come up. But no, the Fed bailed them out, the government bailed them out, and gave them all millions of dollars to take home to mom. And now they got their all brand new yachts and all this other stuff, and we're all still suffering. So, yes, they should have never allowed it to happen. And that we blame the freaking Fed. I blame the Fed. Federal Reserve for you laymen out there. All right, next one. It makes sense and it is fair that some people make much more money than others. Strongly agree, and it means a lot. Because if you're working your ass off, you have the right idea, you have the right invention, you have the right platform, you're doing what people want to do, there's value in it. If you're making your money, make your money. Just because someone's being lazy and wants a government handout, like I don't mean just because they can't work or unable to work or medically can't or retired. No, if someone is just being lazy and wants a handout, screw them. Screw them. Yeah, I'm out here busting my butt every single day. Okay, making what I can, making my measly, just enough to, get by and have a few things, on the side for myself and, go out and even have a second job. Not that I need the second job, but I do it because I want the comfort and the luxuries of what it provides. Because I want the satisfaction that I did it, I earned it, and I'm trying to make a better life for me and what I want. If making millions and millions of dollars is what someone wants to do and they have the ability to do it, go right ahead. If I had the idea and could do it, I'm there. I'm there 100%. But yeah. Yes, it is. Doesn't make any difference. If you're just if you're a lazy piece of garbage, you're a lazy piece of garbage. Get off your butt and go earn it. Because no one's going to hand it to you. You're going to find that out. And when you're really going to feel it is when you're old. Think about that. At least now you can get up and, go work and earn a little bit. But when you're old is when you're really going to feel it because you ain't got no insurance. You ain't got no life insurance. You ain't got a place to live. How you going to pay for it? You're going to pay for it with Social Security? That ain't going to be enough to pay your rent. So how you going to live? Get off your butt. Earn it. Okay, next question. Toppling enemy regimes to spread democracy will make a world a safer place. I'm going to stay neutral on this. And the reason being is we shouldn't be interfering in foreign affairs unless it's affecting us here. That's simple. I mean, we have no reason. I still understand, protecting the shipping lanes with our military and, making sure that commerce, globally, continues, with, our protection. Fine. No issue with it. Making sure everyone gets what they need. Now, when it comes to stuff like this, unless we're talking about genocide, to a community or to a population, not our business. If this is what the people want, it's what the people get. I mean, if the people want to rise up and, protest, or if there's a way to vote out the leader to have someone that's not a dictator or a terrorist or a totalitarian regime, that it's up to the population. I mean, people get complacent. They really do. And the normal person, they just want to, like I said, most people just want to go to work, watch their TV, be able to, have a full stomach and have a little distraction now and then. That's most people. They don't think about all that other stuff like we do. So it's up to them. So I'm going to stay neutral. In many cases, we have no business being there. Nope, none. And the only time that we interfere is if it messes with our resources. Am I not wrong? Or am I right? You know what I mean. So let's go to the next one. The state has no business regulating alcohol, tobacco, and tobacco products. I disagree. And I will say moderately, more than I would say. Yeah, it means a lot because those are addictive substances, and they are a health detriment. We know that alcohol is definitely bad for the body, especially the liver, and it's addicting. And alcoholism is a serious problem, and it should be, adults only. That's simple. You're a legal age. You're 21. Have at it. Your choice. You want to consume it until it consumes you. All on you. Same thing with cigarettes. But like I said, if it's a minor, it should be, out of the question. They shouldn't have access to it. But real life, that's not how it goes. We know that kids get a hold of it. It's going to happen. But yes, it should be regulated. Okay, okay, it looks like they missed out some letters here. Okay, nope, maybe not. Okay. If an unwed teen becomes pregnant, abortion may be a responsible choice. I agree. Because we don't know the situation. What's the family structure at home for the teen? Do they have the additional support? Was the pregnancy a result of a rape? Was it, same thing, incest possibly? So we don't know the family structure of this, or the structure of this question. We don't know the structure of it. But as a teen, we know the odds of that teen graduating high school drops down to about 30%. Then what you're getting after that baby is born is you're getting an uneducated teen with which more likely is going to be an uneducated baby. And you're relying on state resources to help raise that child. You don't know the background of the teen's parents. Are they together, or is it a broken home? What's her family structure like? What's her family structure like? You don't know. So in some cases, if it's better off for the teen, especially if this teen has their head on their shoulders straight and realize that, hey, this was a mistake. Like I said in the previous question, I don't advocate using abortion as birth control, but in rare cases, and depending on this situation, I would say yes, I would agree to the potential of letting the child have the abortion. It sucks. It really sucks. It does. But in this case, you don't know the situation. So we're going to move on to the next one, 39. Okay. International trade agreements should require environmental protections and workers' rights, meaning no free trade with countries that lack pollution controls or labor protections. I agree. The reason I agree is I'm kind of in that business for my regular job. And a lot of the companies that I work with, where they procure their products from and import into the States, a lot of these corporations they're buying from companies that don't have any labor laws. They're using slave labor. And we consistently import from these companies daily, hourly, minute by minute. And it should be regulated. These companies should meet a standard. Like for who I work for, we have a code of ethics and standards that we have to follow. And as an employee of that company, just because, say, if I were to go work in another country, say, where they don't have child labor laws, all right, I be an employee of my company working there, I still have to abide by my company's ethics and our requirements. And so I have to be a representation of that. Over here, it's not right. We know it's not right. It's morally wrong. But when it comes to trade, companies are greedy. It's about cost effectiveness, efficiency, and if it means, hate saying, if it means hurting other people in other countries, their families, and it doesn't hurt ours, they're all about it. As long as we don't see it. That's the biggest thing. As long as we don't see it, it's not happening. But yes, I wholeheartedly agree with this. Wholeheartedly. So by saying that and discussing it, I am changing my answer. Only a few more questions. Is gay equality is a sign of progress? Well, I'm going to stay neutral on this. And it does mean a little bit, but you know why? This is my opinion. The reason why everybody is equal under the Constitution. Very simple. You have certain groups that state that they're not free, or they're treated unfairly, or they don't have the same voting rights or rights as you and I. Yes, they do. And they're guaranteed under the Constitution. The problem is if these people, that might be taken out of context. But if these groups of individuals, groups of people would actually read the Constitution, they would see they have the same rights as you and I. They do. But they want to play victim. You're not a victim. You're an American. You're an American. You're not a victim. You have the Constitution that supports you. You have the Constitution that protects you. You have every right the same as I do. Simple. It's just one of those things. It's because you're a minority group, maybe. You've been made fun of, made to feel like you're a victim. It goes back to the mentality again. Back to victim mentality. You're not a victim. Put your shoes on. Put your pants on. Go to work. Earn it. Be an American. Have confidence in yourself. You have the same rights as everybody else. If anyone tells you otherwise, screw them. I almost said the F word. So we're going to go on to the next. Only a few more questions, you guys. The state should be able to put the criminal to death if the crime was serious enough. 100% yes. Sorry. I am for the death penalty. You have murderers out there, serial killers, child rapists. That's a different kind of capital punishment that should be done. But we're not going to describe it here. But yes, wholeheartedly, I am all for the death penalty. And if the crime is severe enough, yeah, death. Yeah, there are some questionable areas there, like accidental. Things happen. There are accidents. But yeah, if something is proven that is an accident, then no. You're still involuntary. You're still going to jail. You're still going to serve a sentence. Okay, the next one. The military budget should be scaled back. I'm actually going to stay neutral on this as well, but it is important because the reason I stay neutral is because the way technology is today. Military technology is advancing so fast. They state that what we see and what we can buy in the store, the military is 20 years ahead of us when it comes to this stuff. So think about this. Whatever you're watching this on and how advanced your iPhone 14 is or whatever, think about that military is using stuff that's more advanced than that. Yeah. So that's pretty freaking badass. So in this case, I'm going to say no, but I'm going to stay neutral just for the simple fact that because we don't know what the future holds. So we don't know what challenges the military faces, next year or the next 10 years. So some years it might require more money. Others we might be able to reduce it. But so on this, I'm going to stay neutral. But yeah. Okay. Okay, economic competition results in innumerable innovations that improve our lives. I agree. And I mean that it means a lot to me. I'm not going to agree 100%, but I do agree. Because Elon Musk, best way. First example, we'll go Elon Musk. Look what he's been able to do for the EV industry, for space, and just basic technology, satellite technology, internet. So I'm not a fanboy, but I'm just using him as an example. So yeah, the more competition that's out there, the better the products are going to get. So like you look at, Elon started with the Tesla for, our EVs, and look what happened to the major motor companies. Chevy started, put big, better EVs out. Ford's doing it. Chrysler's doing it. Daimler Chrysler, whatever you want to call them, whatever name they're going by today, who knows? But yeah, just in the EV market alone has, just in the last 5 years, has expanded exponentially. It's amazing what they're doing. And it's some pretty cool technology. So yes, all the way there on 100%. Yep, I agree. But I'm not going to 100% agree because there is a way you can combine some things in there that could benefit, us better. But, I'm no engineer. I'm just a guy, talking to a camera. You guys. All right, here we go. Looks like we only got a couple more. Let's see. It's not our place to condemn other cultures as backwards or barbaric. That is a 100% agree, because a culture is a culture. People live the way they want to live. Like I was saying earlier, like-minded people tend to gather in the same place. This culture, prefers not to use technology or vehicles or whatever, airplanes or cameras. That's their choice. Just because they don't like it, doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because we use technology or other countries use technology or societies, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's what they like. Who are we to say it's wrong? So, yes, 100% agree all the way. All right. Okay, when one group is slaughtered and another group, when one group is slaughtering another group somewhere in the world, we have the responsibility to intervene. Yes. I'm going to agree, not 100% agree. The reason is not the fact that people are dying somewhere else out of genocide, is what is the cost, not just to the people that are doing it, how are we going to punish those that are doing it, is what kind of a cost does it have to us that are actually giving the justice? How is it going to affect us? So we should intervene in one way or another, but it depends on how we do it and the means to do it. So I'm going to just agree, and it is high up there on on what it means to me. Okay, going to the next few. Okay, we'd be better off if we could just look up some of the people expressing radical political views and keep them away from our society. Disagree. The reason I disagree is all political views should be heard. Right, left, far left, whatever you want to be. Okay, whatever you are, whatever you claim to be. Because you can't have a moral society without discord. And we have to share the ideas, if you agree with them or not. Ideas should be shared. And it is the only way that we can progress as a society. See, that's how you progress. Not to progress just for the sake of progress. Listen to ideas. Be a civilization of ideas. Okay. Unrestrained capitalism cannot last, as wealth and power will concentrate to a small elite. Actually, I agree with this. Someone means a lot to me. We're actually seeing it firsthand. You look at Wall Street, you look at the political elites, which I refer to as the uniparty. These are the heads of both of the Republican and Democratic parties that actually are the faces of the party, that actually are out there. They're the ones that are actually setting policies and making deals. And we see how they use the insider information to become wealthy. And they're, and the same thing with the corporate and bank heads. They do the same thing. And if you really look at it, they talk about the 2%ers, the 2% of the wealthiest people in the country. That's who they are. They're the politicians, the corporate, corporate heads. So yeah, I can see this. I can agree. Eventually, all empires change. Okay, all empires change. We did. We were a poor republic. We fell into a, I would say it was supposed to be a constitution. We're supposed to be a constitutional republic, but which we're not. And now, with as much as we've changed, we are closer to a democracy with a republic structure, and half of our constitution has been thrown away. So we are slowly changing into something else. To what? Don't know yet, but we're on our way. So let's continue. It is a problem when young people display a lack of respect for authority. Strongly agree. That comes down to parenting. And that is why, in so many cases, a lot of parents, or even just, single folk that are my age or even younger, millennials, when you see the way that some kids and teenagers act towards authority, and just there's so much disrespect. And the reason that is, that comes from parents. It really comes from parents. So I'm just going to put on this. It is a problem, and I blame parenting. It starts at home. If you can't raise a respectful and moral child, then that's what happens. It's a domino effect. Simple. Next question. Okay, when corporate interests become too powerful, the state should take action to ensure public interest is served. Well, that's kind of a double-edged sword question, to be honest with you, because corporations can become too powerful. I think I'm probably speaking on one, and you all probably have social media accounts that are on many. And these corporations are too powerful. There's too much influence in government. And I think it's there, but these are, I just hate using the term like this, because it's been another one of those terms that have been used so much by the media and all these different pundits about, or even just pliterazzis or whatever you want to call them, that they're public or private corporations. They can do what they want. Well, yeah, but when you have that much influence over, a portion of society, through your platforms, that's power. That can sway elections, and that can sway a lot of things. That's a lot of influence. And do we want, the corporations to actually have that much influence? I don't think most of us do. But on the other hand, being a private company, government shouldn't have any say in it. So I'm just going to say that maybe when they do get to a certain point of influence, that certain things could be regulated or caps could be placed on some things. So I'm going to stay completely neutral on this one, because I can't, because I think that they should I'm going to just say agree and say that, they should actually have some say. So I'll just agree, because I'm going to they should have some input or some regulation. Okay, the next question. A person's morality is the most personal nature. Therefore, government should have no involvement in moral questions or promote moral behaviors. I'm going to disagree. The reason I'm going to disagree because morals are morals. It's simple. There's right and wrong. There is good and bad. So if the only issue is what you perceive as right and wrong. But as a consensus, I would like to think that most people will agree what is moral or immoral. On the highest levels, at least. Everyone else has their little intricacies or the nuances that might not agree with me 100% on certain things. Like we'll just say alcohol. Minors consuming alcohol is a bad thing. That is completely wrong. But if an adult consumes alcohol, but consumes it to the point where he becomes addicted, that's their problem. That's their addiction. They should get help, but who am I to tell you not to do that? So our job, I think, as a society is to promote a moral society, something that promotes what's right and wrong. At the highest level, at the core level, yes, as a government, yes, promote right and wrong, morals, promote the morals. But when it gets into the nuances, that's up to you. It gets into your faith, it gets into your various religions, you choose. But yeah, I'm going to say that yes, they should have some say, because a moral society is a civil society. There you go. The state should not set a minimum wage. I'm going to disagree. I think there should be a minimum wage. I really do. There should be a minimum wage. These minimum wage jobs, unfortunately, with today's society, are looked at as primary income jobs. And that's not good. Because a lot of these minimum wage jobs, these are your starter jobs. These are for your kids in school, getting their first job. Go flip burgers, make a taco, make your $11 or $12 an hour, if that. So yeah, they're supposed to be their starter jobs, but as a minimum wage, there should be something there. There really should be a minimum wage. So I'm going to say it means a lot, because everyone should have the ability to have a job and make a living. Unfortunately, in many cases, they're terrible jobs, but they need to be filled. And all right, sorry about that, kids. I had to go to the bathroom real quick, and Roman needed something to eat. So we're gonna finish this up. I did check this again. We do only have a few more questions. Let's continue. All right, where are we at here? Let me get readjusted. Okay, we're good to go. Here we go. Question number 52. Yep, we are in our last couple here. Let's see what we got. All right, a nation's retirement safety net cannot be trusted to the fluctuations of the stock market. That is correct. It is not the government's responsibility to invest for our retirement. The standard Social Security Administration, the Social Security that we pay through our taxes, is all that should be done. It's money that should go to the government and should be there for us when we retire. Anything beyond that is our responsibility. That is why it's up to us to have our 401ks or IRAs or whatever our portfolios are. That is not the government's responsibility to do. So let's say blah, blah, blah. Okay, the nation's retirement safety cannot be trusted to the fluctuations of the stock market. I agree 100% on that all the way, because it is not the government's responsibility. No. So let's get to the next question. Okay, offensive or blasphemous art should be oppressed. 100% disagree. It should not be oppressed. That is why it's called art. Art is art. Now, I think there is a difference between something artistic and pornographic, but that can turn into a really fine line. But for freedom of expression, because I am a constitutionalist, I'm not an absolutist when it comes to the First Amendment, which this would be, protected under. But I would say that as long as it's, I would say is with, well, honestly, yeah, if it's within reason, it should not be, it should not be suppressed. No art should be suppressed. So and that's where it gets tough. It's just, what is considered, blasphemous or offensive. That's the hard thing. That's where it comes down to the individual, and it comes down to our own tastes. So what we might find, like me, you show me a Monet, I'd be like, eh. You show me a Rembrandt, and I'd be like, that's beautiful. So it's subjective. So it comes down to each of us. So I'm just going to disagree with it. It's just I'm not. I'm just going to disagree. I'm not going to disagree strongly because, like I said, for me there's a moral line. What determines what is offensive and what's blasphemous? Because when you get into certain art forms, in my opinion, they're just distasteful and unnecessary. It's basically, to me, a lot of it's produced just out of pure shock value rather than artistic value. So, got to take that into consideration. So let's get to the last one. What is this? Optional share information. I will. We're going to be for real and honest. And let's see if we can find everything here. We're probably giving away a whole bunch of privacy information here. I don't believe I'm signed into anything. So, and here you go. I am Hispanic. And when it comes to, this is interesting. Okay, there we go. I am a registered Republican, mind you. So at the time when I registered, we didn't have the options for libertarian or constitution or any of the options that the quiz is actually giving us here. We only had two choices when I registered, and that was Democrat or Republican. And when I was young, I chose Republican based on my beliefs and what I thought the Republican Party stood for. And since then, I have been registered Republican. And I will claim that here. And let's see what our results are. Well, how about that? All my time that I have actually followed politics, I've always considered myself a conservative, like almost libertarian. But according to, let's blow this up a little. We're going to blow this up and take a better look at this. And see what we got. So, according to this, how about that, folks? According to this political quiz, I am a left libertarian. Who'd have thought? In all of these years, I considered myself a conservative. All these years. A libertarian with conservative values. Apparently, I'm not so conservative. Who'd have thought? But anyway, that's our test. And hopefully you guys had fun with it. I'm going to do couple little quick things here. I enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys stayed to the end. If you did, great. If you didn't, I understand why. It is a pretty lengthy video today. So until next time, who knows? We'll see what we tackle next. And hey, take the test. Leave your results. Leave your results in the comments or, throw them to me on Facebook. You guys know how to find me. So until next time, I love you guys. Be good and good night.